Water is the circulatory system of life.
The resource that we call water is now a resource that we have effectively run out of.
We can live without oil, we can live without, coal, we can live without fossil fuels, but we cannot live without water.
Water is the lifeblood of our planet.
People seem to think that as individuals we don't have the ability to create change, but collectively we do, but we have to start at home and start with the individual.
Water is cleansing, beauty, healthcare. It is purifying.
Water is beautiful.
Water is life.
Water passes through us all. It passes through our planet. We are made of water, and yet we hardly ever spare it a passing thought.
Just as water nourishes, it consumes. In the Maldives, that delicate balance might soon topple. So where better to start our vital conversation on water than in the Maldives? First of its kind week-long gathering of people who care about water took place at the Senses Laamu, just 5 degrees north of the equator.
We're in one of the most fragile environments in the world, the Maldives. People travel halfway around the world to see this very fragile ecosystem. And we just felt it would be important to create an event to really celebrate, firstly, the water and the beauty of the water, with people who are passionate about the ocean and have made the ocean their lives. So it's a week-long charity event. Half the revenues from all our room revenues, we have 97 rooms, we're fully occupied, will go to 3 water charities. You know, we want to do things in a way that's sustainable. You don't want to get up every morning and destroy the world.
No one wants that consciously, yet we all unknowingly contribute to this destruction.
And those who really care are engaging with this issue. The thing is, we see so much water around us in such abundance that the dearth of clean drinking water or the loss of marine life can get clouded over. And people sit up and take notice when stars shine a light on such an issue.
Sports icons, environmentalists, celebrities from Hollywood and Bollywood, all under one roof.
They're pulling together a group of people that really normally don't travel the same circles, but we all share the same love for the ocean, so I'm just here to share. I'm not here to take, I'm here to give.
We as human beings are so frightened of the ocean most of the time that we're fighting the ocean. And you'll always lose, because the ocean, in my opinion, is the most powerful force on earth. We were not the most superior thing, that we were only a part of a huge cycle of life, and that also we were actually destroying ourselves every time we destroy the cycle. And that has been Mithali and my mission since then.
Water is one of the most precious things that exists in the world. We're very much aware that we're about to hit peak oil, but people don't realize we've already hit peak water. You know, we look at our natural systems like they are resources, and we think about the services that they give us. Well, the services they really give us, most productive services they give us, is to be in their natural state. They do all the bioremediation and cleaning and detoxifying and oxygen producing and everything in their natural state. We cannot even manufacture something that does it as even remotely as well.
At what point during your Hollywood career did you realize that this is your calling and this is where you really need to give time?
Things have changed so dramatically since the industrial age started. And just in the last 50 years that we've lost 90% of the fish in the ocean. It's just in the last 50 years that the population has grown so exponentially. All of these changes have happened during much of my lifetime, and so the more I learn, the more I'm compelled to speak out for a more ethical world. I mean, even if it's just for our own survival, we need to start doing things in a much more conscious way and right away. We don't have any time to waste.
So what are some of the things that you sort of do as an everyday practice or do not do?
My house is smaller than these rooms here, you know, and I try to grow as much of my own food as possible. I've been a vegetarian since I was 11.
Developed economies, at least the information's out there and people have the access. But the country that I come from, which is India and other developing economies, a lot of people live in very basic rural areas. Forget internet, they don't have electricity, so there is no awareness. So the approach needs to be very different.
It's not imperative that you have, you know, internet or telephones or those things in order to get the information out there. We just need to start sharing that information and more importantly, sharing the solutions as well. As a species, we have an ancient tradition of storytelling.
Yes.
And storytelling and song and all these things are ways of communicating information.
Songs are also the best way to wrap a hectic day. British musicians Beth Orton and Samuel Amidon made sure that the evening was perfect. And what can be better than perfect? An impromptu jam with Daryl, Hannah and her boyfriend Rami Jaffee of the Foo Fighters band. Mornings start early for the watermen and women. No prizes for guessing what gets them so busy. Sails are up, surfboards are out, and we all run to the sea. Isn't this one of the reasons why we're in the Maldives?
Waters are so beautiful, it's hard to resist being in them all day. And I'm not the only one saying that.
Whether it's a simple swim, snorkel or a dive, you don't want to go back home without saying hello to the Maldivian marine life. It's also the best place to meet people who've been inspirations in the water world. Bethany Hamilton, American professional surfer, survivor of a shark attack in which she lost her left arm. She overcame it and returned to professional surfing.
It's not really the water that would scare people. I think more so it'd be the shark, but the ocean is something so beautiful that you shouldn't let a shark or fear stop you from enjoying it, and I think we can all overcome those fears if we set our mind to it.
Her story has been captured in the feature film Soul Surfer, based on her autobiography, and she's all of 21.
People coming together in love for the ocean can really make a difference. Hopefully just one step at a time we can each do our part in sharing the importance and beauty of the ocean and why we should try to preserve it.
There were others endorsing the same cause. Lane Beachley, Australian 7 times world surfing champion with an unbroken record, and her husband Kirk Bingley, the songwriter and guitarist for Aussie band In Excess, love water, but for different reasons.
Is it the first time that you've come to the Maldives together?
No, it's the second time in a month.
Second time in a month?
Making a habit of it. Okay. I grew up in a house on the water. The whole time we lived there, it was rainwater tanks. So I got very aware of water and how precious it is, because we relied on the rain, filling up the tanks.
Yes. What is it about the Maldives that you like the most?
We love the environment, you know, we love the water and the warmth and the people and the food and just how relaxed it is here.
Yeah, so that's pretty much all of everything about the country.
Yes, and the surf too.
No doubt about that.
Oh, did you see that? Well, we've been talking to these water babies for way too long, but the fun is to see them in their element, in the water. And surfers are a bit of a show-off, but hey, we're not complaining.
Catching the wave or falling off. Riding it and showing off. The spectators were having as much fun as the surfers. After all, how often do you see so many pros in action on the same waters? I've never really tried surfing. I bet it's a lot of fun. But I have to admit, this sport sure makes for good photo ops. obvious that surfing is addictive, but I wonder what got them started.
Yeah, I started surfing in New York when I was 7 years old, and kind of that started my addiction to the water. I grew up on the beach though. My mom was bringing me down to the beach when I was an infant before I could walk. You know, the ocean's always been there for me, so I'm very, very lucky for that. This is my first time, and you know, the waves were fun yesterday. It wasn't too big, but it gives us a chance to kind of get wet and enjoy the warm water, and you know, we had a blast. And it's great to surf with someone like Lane, 7 times world champion, and you know, we were playing together, playing in the water, you know. Nice way to kind of break up the day and, you know, be a part of the ocean.
As an athlete, we have the opportunity to get into the zone, and the zone is where everything is effortless. It all flows naturally and wonderfully, and you don't actually think about anything. And you'll catch a wave, and you'll get to the end of it, and you'll have no recollection of what you just did on it. It's a fabulous experience. I do miss
Out-of-body experience.
It is. I miss being in the zone. It's awesome. If I'm starting to get distracted or starting to experience self-doubt, the one thing that brings me back around, well, there's 2 things. One is the words I am, and reaffirming or reassuring myself, what am I? I am the best surfer in the water. I am going to catch that next wave, so constant positive affirmation. And then the next thing is bringing my centre. So your centre is kind of right in between the top of your pelvis and in between your belly button. And so I put a pin dot of light there, and I expand the light. And so I bring everything into my centre, and I'm right there.
The water is really clear here. One of the first things you notice is how clear and clean it seems. And on my stand-up board paddling around, I felt like I was paddling in an aquarium. It was a little bit tricky, but there was good waves to be found, and I had a lot of fun.
If you're a beginner and want to learn how to tackle the waters, Buzzy's your man. He's been teaching beginners to advanced surfers of all ages for over 10 years and sure knows how to make it easy. So, how could I let this opportunity go? I had a great time, but I was more worried about him.
That was the hardest thing I've ever done in my... No, she picked it up very quickly. She had good balance, and I showed her the basics, and she listened well, and she got up, and she started paddling. I don't think she fell. I never saw her fall. So I think she did really well.
Really? Was it me he was talking about?
Getting a paddleboard lesson from the world champion Buzzy himself taught me how to stand up, and I wasn't that bad. But you know what I'm good at? Swimming!
Now that was one satisfactory day.